Let's Talk About It podcast is sponsored by Molson Law LLC, servicing clients all across New Jersey. Welcome to Let's Talk About It. I'm Jimmy Mortgage, your favorite lender. What I do is lend. How I help is lend. And what you get in return is a house. And this is what it's all about. Let's talk about it. Jimmy Mortgage. I have a special guest today. Her name is Paula Keong from Goosehead Insurance. She's also one of my sponsors of Let's Talk About It. So she is also helping all of us grow as she continues to provide insurance services to those that need it. So we're going to be talking about insurance, of course. So
everybody's favorite topic, right? It's so exciting, insurance.
There it is. So take it away, Paula. That was really good.
Thought bubble.
That part. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
What is it that we need to know about insurance, and why the hell insurance is so expensive?
I know we have this conversation all the time.
Yes, we do.
Well, there's a couple of things going on. I think the question in there is, why is it becoming so expensive? Obviously, things are not as cheap as they were 10 years ago, right? So that's a clear thing, correct?
Right.
Because inflation and time. But these days, it seems like inflation is kind of ratcheting up a little bit, as we all know. And you're the finance guy, so you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But inflation is on the rise.
It is. Labor over inflation.
Yep. Cost of goods sold, cost of labor related to those goods. There's some things going on that are making, people who are much smarter than you and I together are doing algorithms and figuring out what could be, they're trying to predict the future and making sure that their rates are reflective of what they could run into should there be a problem. So if consumer confidence is down and, there's all of these things that can happen can really create an atmosphere where a home buyer might be nervous and, buys too much. Maybe they buy a house and they lose their job, and then they're nervous, and then they might, delay maintenance. So these are things that people on the back end are doing, and they're creating spreadsheets and figuring out where the market might go in the short term and in the, I guess you call it the short long term, or like somewhere in between, not this month or this year, but what's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 years. So they're rating appropriately. The materials, like I just said, materials are more expensive. Labor is more expensive. People are facing a possible downturn in their job market and their income, so they might delay maintenance, which will mean that the house would be more susceptible to problems.
So it's a compounding effect.
It's all of these things that kind of come together, and so now you're looking at a house that should be $100. Well, $100 says those days have long since sale.
Yeah, definitely.
$100 a month is gone, guys. So stop thinking.
Do not put that in your estimation when you're providing a pre-approval for your client. $100.
More. Okay, let's go a little more.
No.
Be a little more realistic.
Right.
But let's say that the house a year ago might have been $150 a month on insurance, and that's what you would have put in your estimate. Now you might want to put $200 just in case, to be safe.
Right.
Of course, the companies out there, maybe I'm a broker, so I can possibly find you something in the budget that you had wanted, because we have a lot of choices. But those top line standard insurance carriers are probably not at that rate anymore. We have non-standard and standard. You and I have talked about that all the time.
Many times.
Standard and non-standard carriers are very different these days. It used to be maybe 5 or 6 years ago, the non-standard carriers were just more expensive across the board because they were covering houses that nobody wanted to cover. Now it's actually kind of flip-flopped. There's a lot of normal houses with, in normal areas that don't have too many hairs on the lollipop. I like to say, it's a perfectly fine roof. Under 10 years, things have been updated. It's not a house from the early 1900s. And sometimes the non-standard carriers are the ones that are priced better because they're a little bit more flexible in terms of zip code and what they're willing to let the buyer purchase on the policy. So sometimes you can see that non-standards can be less expensive, which goes to show you that the market is changing.
Right. And that's why you're a broker in this field, because you get to help those find those better resources when it comes to making that monthly payment, right? Because that's a big chunk of their monies now, right? When you're making payments towards taxes, homeowners insurance, and principal and interest. I mean, everything has a compounding effect. So to your point, this is why it's good to use you at times, because what one cannot do, you can find another provider to provide those services at that time to help you get into that premium so you can afford it. And then if things change or you make more or there's not as much claims, right? Because your profile does follow you too when it comes to insurance, right?
Yeah, you're touching on a couple of different things, and these are all good. So the claims are important. So if you make a claim, on a house you owned 3 years ago and you've since moved to 2 other houses, that's still going to follow you. Claims do follow a homeowner. That's why we always want to talk about it. So when you have a broker,
let's be clear. Repeat that again, because some, just in case.
Let's talk about it, guys. Before you make a claim, let's talk about it. Before you call and you start to say things like, hi, Mr. Insurance Agent. You're calling the agent when you're calling your insurance company, not the broker. I'm one step away from the company and I'm one step closer to the client. My fiduciary responsibility is to our clients. So I'm here to give you advice. And if you give me the details of your claim, it might be that you have a claim and we need to make you whole and you need to call the insurance company and we will help you do that. There are some times when somebody is just doing maintenance. Like I have a woman who called me 2 weeks ago and said, I'm buying new windows because the windows are really drafty. Can I make a claim? And that's not a claim because there's nothing wrong with them. Nothing is actually, there's no peril that has happened. You're just buying new windows because they're old. So that's a maintenance issue. Had she called the insurance company at that particular point in time directly and said, I'd like you to get me new insurance. I'd like you to get me new windows. Can you guys pay for it? Of course, they would tell her no, but they would have written that down as a claim possibly.
What they would have wrote? Wow.
Yes,
they're taking notes.
Of course they do. Everything's on a recorded line. This is recorded. Your calls to the insurance company are recorded.
Yeah, no, I get it. Because since I'd be cussing them out, I'm like, I know I'm on a recorded line, but y'all charge too much.
So it'll say 0. So like 6 months later, when everything has, all the systems have reset, and you try to go, let's say you try to reshop your insurance because your renewal has gone up. You will find that the other insurance companies will see that you've made a claim 6 months ago, but it was $0.
To be clear, made a claim is like you had a conversation for the intent in your eyes.
You just called for a question.
You intent to have something happen in your home. They were like, nah, this is what she's trying to do. He or whoever, right? We're going to just change those numbers a little bit. And every fraction that's changed for the higher, it does become that much more money for you.
It's all tied in. So one $0 claim has an effect. Several $0 claims because you didn't know, you didn't really understand what you should or shouldn't call for, and you called a couple times is even worse, right? So because you're going to have a list of claims. In fact, I actually have carriers that auto decline clients that have anything at all, even if they're all 0, even one thing that might say whatever it might say, water, or the claim will be like, there'll be a date. It'll say cause. It'll say either something like water or, frozen pipe or whatever. It'll say $0. It'll have the date. And then the rule with that carrier will be until this date that this claim, this $0 claim shows is 5 years old, we're not going to consider the business. So there are carriers that are like that. Some of them have different rules. Some of them have say it'll be 3 years. Some of them will say you have to take 18 months. All these carriers, and there are many carriers in this country and many carriers in the state, and they all have different rules. So it just depends on what the rule is. Some carriers are a little bit more flexible in that they say it's fine if it's a $0 claim, we'll waive it. We'll still give you a rate. So it just depends on where you are.
It's fair to say Big Brother insurance have a great intent in your life.
The other thing that you brought up was just keeping an eye on your premiums, because I just happened today to look at my mortgage and see where everything was. Taxes. I live in Jersey City. Taxes are crazy.
Makes no sense.
Crazy.
Makes no sense.
Please, somebody save us from this
what is it?
Crazy tax bill.
3x5 lot? Yes,
I live in a tent in a parking lot, and I had to pay taxes on this little tent. No, so my insurance went from $900 last year to a little over $1,200 in 1 year. And had I not been paying attention, I would have just paid it, which obviously I did because it had already renewed. But I did go and I reshopped it and I got it back down to a little over $800. So, there is benefit to paying attention because, sometimes we all get busy. You get busy, I get busy. And you're not necessarily paying attention to what's on your escrow or what's on your taxes and in your insurance. So just take a peek every once in a while. Make sure you know what's happening in there.
Oh, I know. I'll give you a good example. At one point, so my daughter, senior, she got her license. I'm paying almost $9,800 a year for automobile insurance.
Just 3 drivers?
Yeah, my wife, and her.
3 cars, 3 drivers.
No, 2 cars, 3 drivers.
Did you get a discount for her for being a distant?
Wait, ready for this. So I'm like,
that's a little high.
Little. Girl, I was like, yo, this is crazy. Did somebody
get a ticket?
No one got a ticket. Yo, they were making love to my social security number. So all that said, I don't even know what it was. I'm just being an asshole about it. But they came for me. But
Who is they? The insurance company?
the insurance company, I don't want no problem because
We're gonna-
they tapping in. Like I said,
We will look at it.
so that was high. As soon as my daughter, we paid that tuition for her to go to LSU. As soon as we got that Bursa the bill, we sent it to the insurance company. Now my insurance is at, I want to say $3,600 a month. 46. I haven't looked at it because they're still adjusting it. Every day is an adjustment. They adjust the day.
But you drive electric cars.
I drive an electric car, and they charge a premium for me
do.
driving an electric car.
Parts are expensive.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a battery.
Parts are expensive. I mean, honestly, like if you think about it, right? I have actually seen car insurance rates. I've been doing quotes, and the customer isn't always ready to go right away. You give them a quote, their renewal's in a month. They just want to know what's out there.
Right.
They come back a week later, and the rate is higher. Part of the reason why you're seeing some of this is because, well, first of all, that's it's the way things are right now. But
Annoying.
Just like going back to inflation and going back to these things, the question that these companies have are we going to be able to get these parts into the country? Can we get them in here? How much are they going to cost? It's affecting your rate. So as I see these rates go up, every day goes by, it could be another rate. So
you're right, because at the end of the day, although my car is made in America, it says made in America, the parts come from different parts of the world.
Yes.
And if it costs them,
we have a global economy.
If it's coming from someplace else and there's a cost for it to land in the US of A, you're gonna pay for that because that cost will be passed on.
What about labor?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it was just one of those things that I was really annoyed. But she needs to drive. She had to get to work. And long story short, finally removed her because she's in Louisiana. And my insurance went down drastically. It felt real good, but...
Per year? Like you have an annual?
Yeah. No, every 6 months.
Okay.
Every 6 months. So that's I'm saving this year because my other daughter's about to get her license. She's 16, 17. So I get a break for about 12 months. But to your point, everything that you adjust on your policy does have repercussions when...
Yeah.
Because...
Well, you need to know what's on there.
You need to know what's on there. So I'm always following up with it.
The kind of car you drive, where you live, what zip code. Are you living in a suburban area, a rural area,
right.
Close to a metropolitan city, near a highway where you're always on the highway? It's really nice for us all to kind of consider or think in our own little worlds that it only matters if we have a good driving record.
Right.
If we have never gotten a ticket, yes, those things do matter. But not at fault accidents matter because you're in a situation where you're getting into accidents and, that's still a problem for the insurance company.
It's
you're
crazy.
You're going to see a rate increase for that. If you park on the street, that's going to be one thing. Or if you live in an area where there seems to be a lot of car accidents in that county, like I said earlier, there's a science to this. And the science is telling these insurance companies that they need to charge more. Because how are they going to, if I'm only going to pay a couple $100s a month for car insurance, but I'm driving a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 car and I get into a car accident, how are they going to pay for that?
Right.
And I'm not arguing for corporate America. Trust me, they make plenty of money. But this is the reality we have to be in. We have to remember to keep the mindset that let's understand what we're paying for. Like if we're going to pay for, if I want to drive a nice car that's going to cost a lot of money to replace or have like expensive parts, I'm going to have to pay more for insurance because I'm asking the insurance company to take the risk on replacing a $70,000 asset.
Right.
So, it's not as simple as just saying, oh, but I have a great driving record. You will be rewarded for that, yes, but it is still going to be expensive because of the market that we're in, where you live, how everybody else drives around you, whether or not you live in an area where there's lots of storms and cars float off the highway.
Which blows my mind, too, because of the fact that you would think because of what the premiums are when it comes to car insurance, how someone just driving recklessly out there, knowing that there is a cost behind this. Like it costs a lot of money to drive. I mean, New York City, like I hear people on social platforms, there's like, yo, I'm paying $15,000, blah, blah, blah.
God,
it's crazy. But
you have to, right? Yeah. If you need your car, which is why lots of people in New York do not have a car, right? Because how can you afford that? You're trying to pay your rent. It's
crazy, yeah.
Rent is crazy. You remember that guy in New York, the guy that ran for mayor a couple times? And his whole platform was rent is too damn high.
I
remember his name. But anyway, if rent is too damn high.
So what's his name? The new mayor that's running now.
Yes.
Mandami? Was it
Mandami? Yeah.
Mandami.
Mandami.
Mandami. His message is very clear. Now, I may not agree with everything, but he's talking about affordability. And to that point, that's a pinking point right now because of taxes, cost of living, and insurance.
Yep.
And we see wages are not going up where it needs to be. And so something has to happen, right? And it's fair to say that you can see people are struggling now because of the fact that even when you're on Route 4, 17, 3, 22, whichever access point you use to get to your home, right?
Named all of them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of roads here in New Jersey.
And you see
a lot of jug handles.
Right,
roads.
it's crazy. Like, and you see people driving around with damaged cars.
Can I point out the other thing that you have to remember that we haven't even touched on is fraud. Fraud is up. Everybody has seen the video. It came out.
Oh yeah, those kids. Yeah. A while ago.
So like, there was a woman who was driving on one of the roads you just mentioned.
Right.
I don't even remember which one it was, but you did name it, I'm sure, because you named all of them. And she's driving, and she has a dash cam, and she's talking to, I guess, her friend or somebody on the phone.
That was caught. Yeah.
And then the person in front of them stopped short. She stopped, didn't hit them, but they backed up and hit her.
Yeah.
And they all got out of the car, clearly pretending that she had rear-ended them so they could claim against her insurance.
It's crazy.
The one thing I will say is that getting into this industry, you start to learn how nothing is straightforward. It's not just one thing. It's not just that you have a clean record in driving and you've never gotten into a car accident. It's not just that you're over the age of 25 and you should be a good risk profile. None of these are not all the only thing they're rating you on. It's everything. So if you're living in an area where fraud is up and people are doing these kinds of things, everybody is going to be paying for it. All of us. I would be paying for that. You are paying for that one accident that got caught on camera because she happened to have a dash cam. So I'm going to tell everybody right now, get a dash cam, right? And when you get into a car accident, turn your phone on record and put it in your pocket so that you know what's happening because that can happen to the person who happened to have a dash cam. How many other people is that happening to doesn't have a dash cam, that didn't have their camera on or wasn't on the phone with somebody?
I'm just not effing around with. Yeah, I'm just not effing around with none of that stuff because at the end of the day, it will come back, right? But switching back to real estate, what we love, right? Because we were talking a couple of minutes about we were making love to the automobile insurance, but
we can really get off the topic here.
Let's go back to real estate.
Yeah.
So Let's Talk About It podcast is sponsored by Molson Law, LLC, servicing clients all across New Jersey. Not recently, I'm lying. 4 years ago, a tree fell on my house. Wasn't my tree. It was the neighbor's tree.
Act of God.
Right? My insurance, I paid it that year. No problem. 24 months later, they slapped me with a bill of $6,000.
Did you change your insurance?
No, I didn't do anything. They realized the antiquated system that they were using now saw the claim of what I had. And it just blew my mind how much they charged.
You didn't change your insurance from the $6,000 to something else?
Oh, no, I changed it now. I thought when you asked the question, did I change it? At the time, I didn't do any changes. No, right. And now I changed it. Now I have the umbrella policy.
That's for liability.
Because it makes sense because I'm driving, obviously, and the house. And I'm using as much as I can with discounts to help reduce my expenses. But to what we're talking about when it comes to real estate, how have you seen that shift now that you're providing insurance to those when it comes to, especially for first-time home buyers? What kind of conversations are you having with them to let them know, like, this is what the cost is, and unfortunately, this is what we need to do for now in order for you to get into this home? How are you having these conversations with them?
I mean, that's a good question. First-time home buyers, that's the one thing that hasn't changed, right? Because first-time home buyers, in the course of the history of buying homes, are a very special group. And they, I was a first-time home buyer. You were at one time,
right? First-time
home buyer, and we want to drink up as much information as possible, and we are so hopeful.
Right.
We want that house, and we want everything to go well, and everything will go well. We all share that one particular sentiment. It's just like, oh, we're super happy, which, it's a very exciting time. You're buying the biggest asset you'll ever have in your, that you have in your life is your home, and it's super important. You want to make your memories, and in doing that, sometimes you don't necessarily want to pay attention to some of the details, but they kind of hit you in the face.
Yeah, they do.
The truth is that insurance is more expensive than you might expect. And you might not understand the process. So home insurance companies have an inspection process. So you're going to buy the house. You're going to agree on an insurance policy. Your lender is going to help you get yourself to the closing table. You're going to close. Everybody's going to be happy for the first couple of weeks. You're going to buy a new couch. All these things. You're going to call our team at Goosehead is going to call you to help you figure out your security alarm systems, your television provider, a cable provider, all of these things, right? So they're going to do all that stuff, and you're going to be fine. At some point between day 1 and day 60, the insurance company is actually going to come in and inspect your house.
They actually come.
They're going to drive by, and it used to be like maybe I'd say anytime before 7 years ago, they would drive by, and maybe they would drive by.
Wait, hold that thought.
Now they are definitely driving by.
Right. To be very clear, someone is
in the car, driving safely,
driving to the home that you insured, to make sure you adhere to what the conversation you had at the time, of what's in the policy.
Well, they want to make sure that the house is what they agreed to insure, because again, it goes back to, they have to figure out what they should charge to insure your asset, and assets are getting more expensive now.
Right. So
material is getting more expensive, right?
And it makes sense for them to drive because they want to protect it.
Right. So they're going to drive by. Okay. So, 6-7 years ago, you might buy a house for half the price it is now, or like a fraction of what it used to be, right? So today the prices are more expensive. Labor is higher. Materials are higher. So that replacement cost on that house, which might have cost the insurance company, or they would be willing to insure it for, let's say, $400,000 7 or 8 years ago. Now, in today's dollars, might be like an $800,000 house.
Right.
So that's the value of the insurance policy, right? You're buying an $800,000 coverage A insurance policy. And so,
what is that line item called?
Coverage A.
Coverage
Dwelling.
A. Dwelling. Okay.
Yeah. So that, and then of course, TIV means total insured value. That's all of the entire policy together, what you're asking the insurance company to provide for you.
Right.
Because there's also other structures, there's personal property, there's a liability piece. So all of that stuff is in your policy. And the insurance company they have now the third party insurance inspection market has grown, and now there are third-party companies that...
We spoke about that in the green room.
Yeah, and maybe they'll be given a list every week of all the policies that are written under this particular company's program. And they have these insurance inspectors that will go by and look at the house and make sure that they see the house itself and make sure that there's no cracked windows, the sidewalk isn't cracked, the driveway isn't cracked. And people are like, sidewalk, who cares? That's outside. But they do care, because everything. What if somebody falls in a crack?
Right. And
then they sue you because they can't, because health insurance, when you go to the doctor, if I fall in a crack, I'll go to the doctor and I'll say, oh, I was walking my dog and I fell while I was walking my dog. It was in front of this guy's house. There was a crack in front of their house.
Right.
And by saying that, my health insurance will call me and be like, give us the address to the house that you fell in front of. And that health insurance company will subrogate and sue your home insurance.
That's crazy.
To get back the cost of your health insurance, of your health care. So that's one small example. I've seen lots of other examples. But going back to what these inspectors are looking for, they're looking for the condition of the home to make sure there's nothing that they need to worry about in the coming months. So when you buy your house, your home inspector is looking to see if it looks okay in that point in time. The roof is not leaking today does not mean that it's a good roof or that it's a roof that doesn't need to be replaced.
Right.
So when you see the line, the roof I saw no leaks during the inspection the day that I was here on your home inspection, does not mean that the insurance company is going to be okay with your roof. In fact, these days they have AI and satellite. So as life goes on and time goes on and the technology gets a little better, and they can use satellite, and they can use I'm not talking about Google Images. I'm talking about like satellite.
Drones, right.
They're going to drone, or they're going to satellite your roof, and they're going to see that, the roof wasn't leaking, but it's got 3 shingles missing. There's a crack in the chimney cap is missing. There's a raccoon sitting on it, having dinner. I don't know. These things can, they'll be looking for that. And if they feel that your roof is not up to their standard or within its useful life, they're going to demand that you replace it within 60 days or 30 days, depending on their rules. And if you cannot afford to replace your roof, because roofs these days are $15,000 to $20,000, maybe more, then you'll need to move on to another company because they don't want you on their program. So that is all the time, everywhere. Expect it when you buy a house. Make sure that you are asking the inspector how that roof is, or, give me pictures. What am I expecting? Inspectors now are very smart. If you say to them, how does the roof look? Do you think I'm going to need to replace it? They might be able to tell you.
Right. It's interesting you say that, right? Because recently, I had a individual call. She was buying an investment property. I gave out the sex. Sorry. She was interested in buying an investment property, and I told her, look, this is a great idea, but you just need to make sure that you have enough monies, because if you don't have enough reserves, there could be some challenges. And she was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna make some money. I'm gonna have the cash flow. I said, one of the biggest things that I've had conversations with is homeowners insurance, right? That's a big thing. You're an investor. Insurance is important. And because of you, I've learned so many different things that are happening with insurance. And I told her at the time, look, each house you put a bid on, just make sure there's no claims on this home. Because what can happen, you may think like, oh, it's only $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, but because multiple claims happen because this was a rental unit, that insurance can be anywhere between 10 and 11. It could be double.
It could be double.
It could be double.
You don't know.
And
you don't know.
Her reply was, I didn't know that. And I'm like, okay. I mean, and then followed up with the conversation of, you're making me feel like I shouldn't buy the house. I'm like, I'm not telling you. Like, that has nothing to do with like, you buying it, not buying it, that has no relevance to me.
It's not Jimmy's house.
It's not my house. Like, I just want to put you in a situation because we see many speak of how easy it is to get an investment property. Yeah, boom. But you also have to understand the liabilities behind it. Right, exactly.
Yeah, I would love to buy I'm in a condo still. I would love to do that. Right. But there are some things you got to consider.
Right, and I was just doing the right thing. I'm not looking for a quick deal because at the end of the day, we could do the click and bait thing. That's easy, right? I'm trying to put you in a situation where you're comfortable spending that money. And also, if things do not pan out the way it needs to,
that's very responsible.
You have the reserve and you have, options if that happens to you. And I felt a little weird about, like, you're telling me there's more cons than pros. I'm like, I'm giving you good feedback, what I know has happened to others, including myself. I have rental properties. I've seen people dump cement into the toilet.
Oh, Lord.
Like, it happens, right? And so I just wanted to protect her well-being in terms of going into investment. And I guess, so then I don't feel too bad now because I'm like, maybe the person she spoke to before me was like, yo, it's just mad simple, man. Just put this down, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
that's not the most responsible way to do things,
and
but
it's what it is.
Everybody has their style.
And then to that point, I want to share the story because I want many to know, look, opportunities are there and you should strike when it's available, but you have to know your numbers. And one of the biggest things when you're buying property is insurance. If you cannot get insurance, you're shit out of luck. It's just the truth. No, but just keep it
you
real.
You can get insurance.
You can
I promise
get it.
We will get you insurance.
You will get it, but what you're willing to, what you're going to pay for it.
There's an answer for every question, right? So can I get insurance? It's always going to be yes, because there's going to be lots of companies. Right. There's many companies. It's a matter of what you're going to pay for. Right. And, back to your story, I really feel like that's a really important conversation to have is like when you look at a house, it's not just numbers on a piece of paper. And, you know, I know lots of fantastic lenders, you included.
It better be
one
me
of my
included.
favorites. But the bottom line is like being a responsible lender can also, it also includes looking at the numbers and making sure that there's enough room in there. I'm assuming this is because I'm not a lender. Making sure there's enough room in there for the person to meet any unexpected challenges, right?
Absolutely, right.
You could buy a house, it could look great, the numbers look fantastic, there's positive cash flow, you're making a little bit of money, but then you're hit with, you need a new roof. And, the positive cash flow isn't going to get to the price of the roof until you're 6 months in.
Right.
What are you going to do then? The insurance is going to cancel you. You're going to have to get to the next one. The next company is probably going to be more expensive. They're going to give you they might say the same thing and give you 30 days. And at that point, you still haven't gotten to your reserve yet.
Right.
So, there are some considerations that I feel like when I was saying earlier about, when we're first-time home buyers, we're super excited. I remember being very excited and not even thinking about the ramifications of buying a house or buying a condo that needed to be gutted. My condo needed to be gutted. There was the owner that sold it to us had a dog. The dog's name was Whitey. Mm-hmm. I learned all this from the person.
What's the dog name again?
The person who owned the dog, they named him Whitey. It's not my dog. But I made friends with the neighbor downstairs and she told me about this dog because the first day that we bought the house, we were so excited. We're going to do a lot of work in it. We're going to make it ours. We open the front door with our new key. Now, with the paper's been signed, deeds in our name. There's a weird smell in the house. What's this smell?
Right.
And it turns out, after a little bit of investigation, that the seller had locked his dog, Whitey, in the bathroom on weekends so he could go to Atlantic City and gamble. And during the time that Whitey was in the bathroom, he didn't hold it. He just peed on the floor and pooped on the floor. And it seeped through the concrete floor into the subfloor, the wood. And so that was an expense that we didn't expect. And these are the things that we're talking about, right? So when you buy a condo, a home, whatever, investment property, a yurt, the tent that I'm living in, all of these things, you may need to, there are going to be some unexpected challenges. And, the money shouldn't be so tight that you can't meet the demand of having to rip a floor up because Whitey was peeing on it for decades. These are things that we might want to consider.
Yeah, you have to, because again, and when you're spending that type of money, you have to make sure you're taking somewhat of a conservative approach.
Yes.
Because the last thing you want to do is be upside down. And the same person saying it's that simple to get a home is the same person that's going to buy it off of you because they're getting cheap on the dollar on it, right? So let's call it what it is.
Buy the house.
And they're like, yo, I'm broke. Oh, yo, what's that? Yo, I got you, man. I got you, man. You're like, yo, did that just happen?
Pennies
like,
on the dollar.
Yeah, pennies. Well, I mean, why? It's numbers. It is
numbers.
what it is. So at that point, I'm not saying you're a sucker for it, but I'm just like, told you so.
Well, I will also add that no, Whitey's urine in our bathroom floor was not covered by insurance. I did not call for that because I knew it wasn't, but that is, we are talking about insurance.
Right.
These are the kinds of things that are not covered, right? So when we say surprise, maintenance is never covered. Maintenance is never covered on insurance. So if you need a new roof and nothing has happened, the tree hasn't fallen on it, like you just said, like none of those things have happened, or the wind didn't blow it off, you need to buy a new roof. And that's the reason why the insurance company is coming to look at your house to make sure that should a tree be too close, they will ask you to cut it down because they can foresee that a strong wind, because weather is changing.
Right.
Regardless of how you feel about it, weather is changing and storms are becoming more frequent.
Right.
This next strong gust during a winter storm could knock the tree over and hit your house, and then they will be left paying for a new roof and that new siding and all of these things, new windows. So they're trying to mitigate all their losses so that they don't have to be in that situation where they could have just told you to cut the tree or canceled you if you didn't want to comply. So that's what they're thinking.
Right.
It is stressful. I deal with a lot of homeowners that are put in this situation and, you have sleepless nights, and I feel terrible because, this should be a happy time. You should feel safe and happy in your home and not have these stresses. We all have to go to work in the morning and have that stress. We are carrying that stress. We don't need more at home.
Right.
And so I know how it feels to have that conversation with somebody who's like, what am I going to do? My insurance is going to cancel. And it sucks. I get it. So we try to solve it together. It's the best thing I can do is just to try, hold your hand through it. Let's get you another company if you can't do the roofing. I have lots of roofing partners that I work with that are referral partners that I send lots of, business to because I know that they're fair and they price, their materials correctly. They're not overcharging you, and they're honest. So I try to help however I can, which is what we should all be doing.
Fair enough. And to be honest with you guys, Paula does have an avatar because that's how much phone calls she gets per day, per week.
I think my phone must have, it's on silent, but it's already rang like 3 times.
It's crazy. And that's how complicated insurance has gotten. Let's Talk About It podcast is sponsored by Real Estate Title, servicing clients all across the state of New Jersey. We could talk about too, a deal that you and I were working on where the person had a pool, was removing the pool, and also had solar panels. That conversation was not fun, but you did the right thing, provide your professional value. Can you talk about that when, especially first-time home buyers, when they're purchasing a home, that if it has a pool or solar panels, what that compounding effect can do to your premium?
So a pool is a liability issue,
Right.
and there are almost no insurance companies that are going to take that pool if it doesn't have safety features, such as a locking gate, at the very least. You can't just have the public coming onto your property and having access to the pool. Otherwise, they don't want you. They don't want that business.
Right.
That's the same reason why they don't want trampolines and somebody with 6 pit bulls. So same thing, right? Liability issue. We were just talking about that. Whether or not you're gonna remove the pool is not the point. In at the space and time that you're asking this company to insure you, you have a pool.
Right.
So that does, that's a little bit more of a consideration, and you will see a little bit of a jump in the premium. Solar panels means that the house has more value on it. So, maybe the house cost $800,000 to build, but you just tacked on $20,000 worth of solar panels. So now you have a insurance value of $820,000, right? So that's going to bump up your premium as well. It doesn't mean just because you have solar panels where the solar panel company replaced your roof or promises to replace your roof if you need one.
Right.
It does not mean that solar panel company is going to actually do that. You have to read your contract properly. And the insurance company, you're still going to peek under the solar panels to make sure that roof is still in good shape because anything could happen. You don't know. There's many solar panel companies. Not all of them are created equal.
Right.
And they don't always truly have your best interest at heart when it comes to the condition of your roof because they don't really talk to the insurance company. Mm-hmm. And to them, it might look fine. The roof looks fine. And so they're not going to replace it. Mm-hmm. They'll just throw the panels on top. But the insurance company knows better and they will look and make sure that the roof is in good shape. And if it is not in good shape, they will just tell you that they don't want the business and you'll have to go find some other company. So we're going to be in that same circle.
Oh, man.
It's a never ending loop.
Never ending.
So fun.
So on a lighter note, it's what it is, right? Insurance, again, it's never sexy, but I feel like it's important for us to have these conversations because this is what Paul and I do, right? The value add. So you see some of the hurdles that can happen. It's not a bad thing. It's just have a clear understanding so you're managing your expectations.
That's true. Yeah. I'm going to add to that because the conversations that we have about the roof, about the pool, about the dog.
It's not
And I mean, we were just talking about the conversation you had with the woman or the person who was buying the investment property. These are things that are meant to just educate the public,
absolutely,
right? Because at the end of the day, every single time somebody calls me and I have this conversation, it doesn't mean that they're going to use the policy that I found for them. Maybe they have a relationship with another broker and they go somewhere else. It's fine. I'm still going to have the same conversation because I say all the time not without fail on every conversation, I say, I think the house is gorgeous because it might be. I look at the ad, it looks gorgeous, and maybe the roof is perfect and there's no trees, there's no pool. There's no reason for me to be giving them this talk, but I'm still going to anyway, so that they are aware because it is much better to have more information for you to process and be ready in case something does happen. In case I didn't see that there was a step that was missing a banister, but the house looks great. And so now they're being called out for that. I mean, I'm still going to have the conversation with the client where I want you to watch the mail and make sure that you're reading all the mail from the insurance company because they don't always tell us as brokers what's happening. Right. And you need to get to the part where we're sure you have no problems with the insurance company. The insurance company is happy. You are happy until renewal. And at renewal, they might still inspect. Right. There are plenty of insurance companies we work with that are now inspecting on renewal and not on the first year because they want to see what the house looks like year 2 or year 3. So that's happening more and more. And it's better for you to be ready for that because there's also, I just had a conversation with an existing client who bought an investment property and they got canceled and they didn't even realize it because they hadn't responded to the insurance company about they wanted to come for the inspection. I didn't have the policy because it was her partner that bought it from another broker that they had. Mm. And I guess the broker didn't tell them or they didn't read the email or, any number of reasons life can happen. Right. But now they have a lapse of 32 days.
A lapse is not good on your insurance.
Not good. It's not good for the mortgage company because the mortgage company is going to force place on you and it will be much more expensive when the mortgage company, not Jimmy personally, but the bank will force place the policy on the home and it will be 2 to 3 times more expensive than what you can get on the market. Yeah.
On a lighter note, so we're gonna have some
jokes.
fun. Yeah, exactly. But I want to talk about something that's dear and near heart to us. What we love to do, what we love to showcase, networking events. AREA,
Asian Real Estate Association of America, Northern New Jersey chapter.
Wow. And you are going to be the chapter president. So I'd like you to talk more about that and what are some of the things that we're doing in AREA. President Paula.
Well, I'm not president yet. Not yet. I'm vice president. Sue, who's a dear friend of mine.
Oh, she's going to choke me. She said, Jimmy, you got it wrong. No, Sue is yeah, she's going to come with me. Sue is the president of AREA now, but Paula that's going to be an opportunity for Paula end of this year. I could take over the chapter.
Yeah. So Jimmy has been kind enough. Thank you so much for serving with me on the board for a couple of years now.
Right.
The entire mission of AREA is to promote sustainable homeownership for the AAPI community. However, given that, we are a diverse market,
Right.
In this
Hint,
nation,
me.
we're a diverse market in this nation. We actually do a lot of partnerships and work so that we are always promoting sustainable homeownership for all communities, all underserved minority communities,
Right.
because there is not always going to be fairness. In fact, you need to fight for fairness, to be frank, in the housing community, in the housing market and industry, in lending, in what neighborhood are you looking at? All of these
Right. things
are the way, any step that we have taken forward in these industries have been hard fought and hard won by people that saw a problem and moved the needle forward. So that's what ARIA is dedicated to. And per chapter, we do a lot of little events that are fun. So we're not always, like beating the drum. We do go to Washington once a year. We do our national convention once a year.
Right.
We do have a lot of educational events. But our chapter actually does a lot of social networking things as well. Right. We go to lunch. We do happy hours. We're having a CE class on the 16th.
Yes.
3 credits for realtors. It's going to be member appreciation, so we'll serve lunch as well.
Right.
It'll be at Greater Bergen Realtors office in Saddlebrook, right?
Right. Yep.
So, these are that's an example of the little things that we do throughout the year to give back, to give value to our members.
Right.
And, we're here with a charitable mindset. We're not here to take, but whenever you step into the room of ARIA, you will always make a new friend, see an old friend. And in our business, we are always looking to meet new faces, talk to new people, have new conversations, because that's how it works, right? You want to be able to talk to lots of people because you grow and they grow, and you're only as strong as your network, I think.
Right.
Only as strong as your network. So having something like ARIA that we are both on gives lots of value to us and also gives back, and also feeds our charitable heart.
That part.
Yes. So that's what we're doing.
Again, we encourage you, we're online.
Yeah.
We encourage you to join. If you feel you're not getting certain things at other chapters, we're here to help. Come see us, and we'll definitely show you what it looks like when we put things together. And again, stress the opportunity of homeownership, because that's what it's all about, right?
Yes.
Making sure that those that look and see whatever you look like, whatever you got going on, no judgment, but the success of you getting the keys to homeownership.
Yeah, it's a complicated journey, which can be scary if you don't have a lot of friends and support around you, and that's always the goal. Right.
So, Paul, if someone's looking for you, where can they find you?
Let's talk about it. On Instagram, you can find me on Instagram, goosehead_Paula. You can call me. Jimmy has my number.
Right.
He will give out my office line because my cell phone blows up at all the wrong hours. But you can always email me, call me, or find me on social. I'm always happy to have a conversation.
Thank you. Again, your favorite lender, Jimmy Mortgage, always here to help you when it comes to residential financing. You can find me on your favorite social platforms. Just type in Jimmy Mortgage. I'm there. Apple, Spotify. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Jimmy Mortgage. Again, thank you so much, Paula, for coming on Let's Talk About It.
Thank you for inviting me again. I love having this talk with you always. It's always fun. Thank you.
Hey, listeners, are you looking to improve your home comfort and save on your energy bills? Let's talk about Seal Power. They've been awarded Energy Star Sustained Excellence Award, seen on Good Morning America, the New York Times, and World News. Seal Power is dedicated to keeping your home cozy while saving you money. Check out their website for tips and incentives and more at CIELPOWER.com. Stay comfortable and save with Seal Power, where comfort meets efficiency. Follow them on Instagram for updates and more, and let's talk about it as well. Thank you.